Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, we've all felt the sharp bite of a freezing winter wind, right? Or maybe that sudden, breathless gasp when you jump into an unheated swimming pool. But have you ever stopped to wonder what would actually happen if you fell into a pool of liquid nitrogen? It's a wild thought. Today, we're jumping straight into the facts, unpacking the exact chronological biological nightmare your body would undergo in extreme cold. We're going to break down the scenario second by second, and honestly, it's going to completely change how you view the physical fragility of the human body. Falling into liquid nitrogen. It's one of those staggering what-if scenarios that literally keeps experienced scientists and physicists up at night. It is absolutely terrifying. And we're going to look at this chronologically, starting right from the exact moment of impact. We usually think of cold as just uncomfortable, shivering, numb fingers, maybe a localized case of frostbite if you're stuck outside too long. But at this extreme level, cold isn't just a drop in the temperature gauge. It transforms into a highly destructive physical force. It acts ruthlessly, and it dismantles biological functions at a speed that is, frankly, really hard to wrap your head around. So to truly understand the stakes here, we first have to establish the baseline temperature of liquid nitrogen, and that sits at a bone-chilling minus 321 degrees Fahrenheit. Minus 321. That's a number so incredibly low it almost defies human comprehension. To put that into a relatable scale, the absolute coldest temperature ever recorded on Earth's surface, way out in the deepest, darkest depths of Antarctica, was only minus 128 degrees. That means liquid nitrogen is almost 3 times colder than the absolute most brutal natural freezing point on our entire planet. Just let that sink in for a second. To really put this massive thermal shock into perspective, diving headfirst into the freezing, icy waters of the Arctic Ocean would physically feel like slipping into a nice, warm, comfortable bath compared to liquid nitrogen. Yeah, really. That is the sheer magnitude of the temperature gap we are dealing with. It's an environment so overwhelmingly hostile that your body's standard physiological survival responses are instantly rendered completely useless. Section 1. The Leidenfrost Shield. A fraction of a second of hope. So here is the crucial point. For a split second, your own body heat actually generates a temporary shield to protect you from the immediate cold. Since your core body temperature is hovering around 98.6 degrees, you are literally hundreds of degrees hotter than the liquid nitrogen. This extreme difference causes the nitrogen to instantly boil the very second it touches your skin, and this violent instantaneous boiling forms a razor-thin layer of protective nitrogen gas that wraps completely around your submerged body. It's kind of like a personal microscopic force field. If you've ever been cooking and watched a water droplet just skitter and dance across a searing hot pan without evaporating right away, well, you've witnessed this exact principle in action. It hovers, totally insulated on a tiny, microscopic layer of its own steam. Your body is doing the exact same thing in the nitrogen. But do not get comfortable, because in a pool of liquid nitrogen, this protection is incredibly fleeting. And spoiler alert, it is the absolute last bit of defense your body will ever have. This physical effect buys you practically zero time. At exactly 0 seconds, you make impact with the pool. At 0.1 seconds, that protective gas shield forms around your skin. But by 0.9 seconds, literally less than a single heartbeat later, the temperature differential drops and the barrier vanishes completely. Poof! It collapses faster than a house of cards in a hurricane, bringing your unprotected skin into direct, terrible contact with the liquid. And that is when the real horror begins. Section 2. Next up, the deep freeze, total system shutdown. I want you to imagine this rapid sequence of biological failures, because the extreme cold doesn't just hurt you, it systematically dismantles your biology from the outside in. First, the gas shield collapses. Almost instantly, the immense thermal shock causes your central nervous system to totally panic. Your brain desperately sends emergency signals, but it's way too late. Your heart, lungs, and vital organs begin shutting down in rapid succession. Next, your skin, which normally stretches and breathes, right, has every single molecule locked firmly in place, instantly turning rigid. And finally, your blood freezes solid in your veins. It can't carry warmth, it can't do its job at all. Moving into Section 3, the structural breakdown, cellular destruction. This brings us to a really terrifying reality. At these extremes, human tissue completely changes physical states. Under normal, everyday conditions, your muscles are elastic, flexible, powerful. But exposed to liquid nitrogen, your tissue behaves less like flesh and way more like glass. If you've ever seen a science teacher dip a soft flower petal into liquid nitrogen and then just shatter it against a table into a million pieces, well, that is exactly what is happening to your muscle tissue. It completely loses all structural integrity. Gone. The whole reason your body turns into this brittle material happens down at the microscopic level. You see, every single cell in your body contains and entirely depends on water. This extreme cold effectively weaponizes your own hydration against you. The water inside every single compromised cell rapidly freezes into these jagged, sharp ice crystals. And because water physically expands when it freezes, these ice crystals violently shatter the microscopic cell walls from the inside out. It's literally destroying the fundamental building blocks of your body. Now, it is absolutely crucial to grasp that this internal collapse isn't cinematic. There are no dramatic explosions, no wild flailing, no Hollywood special effects. Because your blood is frozen and your muscles are instantly rigid, you can't even move. It's simply the quiet, absolute end of cellular function. It's total, irreversible biological destruction, and it's happening in complete silence just beneath the surface of your skin. Section 4. The aftermath. Nature does not negotiate. So, you might be thinking, what if someone somehow manages to pull you out of the pool in time? Well, the grim reality is that survival simply isn't on the table. Your body's standard recovery mechanisms, the very biological systems normally responsible for repairing cuts, fighting off infections, or generally keeping you alive, they would be totally overwhelmed. Even with the fastest rescue physically imaginable, the fatal cellular damage has already been done. Once those cell walls shatter from the expanding ice crystals, your cellular structure is completely 100% beyond repair. This staggering reality really proves that extreme cold doesn't care how strong you are, how incredibly healthy you are, or how mentally prepared you think you might be. Nature operates strictly by its own rules, on its own terms, and at its own temperatures. It simply does not negotiate. And it absolutely does not give you a fighting chance once those physical thresholds are crossed. To wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this final thought. If human resilience and biology can be shattered this quickly and this quietly by a simple drop in temperature, how truly fragile are we against the raw, unfiltered forces of the natural world? It certainly gives you chills to think about, doesn't it? Thanks for exploring this fascinating, albeit absolutely terrifying, scientific reality with me today.